aqui que você estava se escondendo. Eu sabia que te encontraria mais cedo ou mais tarde. Agora que te achei, é melhor você responder todas as minhas perguntas, não é? Primeiro, se apresente a todos os exploradores que estão assistindo esse vídeo.
Hello Brazil, I'm C.S.Diggle and I'm the artist and writer behind Humanidade Lost, coming to Brazil soon in Brazilian Portuguese.
Pode nos contar sobre os temas centrais que movem a história?
The core themes: adventure. It's an adventure comic book. A lot of exploring the alien worlds and new realms. It's a speculative evolution graphic novel, so lots of very weird looking non-humanoid aliens in the book. It's also a mystery, and there's biological horror and space travel. Those are a few themes. Oh, and it's post-apocalypse as well. So,
o que te inspirou a criar Humanidade Lost?
Well, one core inspiration, I brought some books down so I can show you what I'm talking about, is Expedition. Now, I saw a documentary when I was a kid called Alien Planet, and I didn't realize at the time that it was based on this world. And that sent me down a little rabbit hole of trying to find more stuff like it, because I didn't have the name speculative evolution to search for a subgenre related to this work. But I did stumble across Simon Roy's work on DeviantArt, which was a website back in the day. I'm sure it's still around, but it used to be a lot more popular. And found out Simon Roy was working on a work called Prophets. And if you haven't seen this work before, you should read it. It's a magnificent. And that book, Prophet, had a lot of the same themes that I enjoyed in Expedition, but it also added this H.R. Geiger bio-horror, biomechanical element to it, and that fusion really inspired me. And my book, Humanidade Lost, was sort of born out of a desire there to be more Prophet, because I was quite let down when Prophet finished. There to be more of it, and there just wasn't anything really comparable in the comic market that scratched that itch for me. So I figured I'd create something of my own that sort of is a spiritual successor to Prophet. And that's kind of how Humanidade came to be. Now is inspired by those two main works. I mean, other inspirations would be like the Halo game series. I'm sure everyone knows what Halo is. But
você poderia nos dar uma visão geral do enredo e dos personagens principais de Humanidade Lost?
Yeah, sure. So, Humanidade Lost is a post-apocalypse graphic novel set in our distant future. The story follows the tale of Lost, who's a human, and he's the last unaltered human apocalypse. And the only reason he survived is because he was put into cryosleep, like a stasis, to travel between our star and a neighboring star. And during this extended sort of coma-like state, there was a war between humanity and an alien alliance called the Conglomerate. And humanity came very close to losing this war. The only thing that saved them was the activation of a top secret superweapon called the All-Mother. And the All-Mother is a super intelligent AI. It didn't really go to plan though, because the way that the AI won the war against the Conglomerate is it turned humanity into a weapon. It altered us genetically and turned us into a sort of biological puppet empire that she changed. Humanity does not exist as we know it today in Humanidade Lost. It's a type of genetically engineered post-humanity. Anyway, so Lost wakes up in this distant future. There's this gigantic war between the Imperium, which is the All-Mother's post-human empire, and then you have the Galactic Union, which are all of the alien races which were at war with the old humanity, but are now on the back foot, and they're being pushed back, and the Imperium is expanding across the Milky Way, and it's basically a threat to all life in the galaxy. But there's another character called Deicide, who was one of the All-Mother's generals who defected, and now Deicide has met with Lost. And I won't spoil it here, but he's swept up into this gigantic interstellar war that is just beyond him, but he is more of plays more of a pivotal role in the story than he could have ever realized. And it's a fun adventure story. Other characters, there is Skiv, who's an alien, and he's sort of a silly comic relief character that he becomes friends with Lost, and he's very he's like a good friend for him, and he helps him cope with the extremely dark, seemingly hopeless situation that he finds himself in. But one of the main things about Humanity Lost is it's about finding purpose when everything seems lost. It's about seeing that there's always a light at the end of the tunnel, and there is in Humanity Lost. There's always hope, no matter how dark things might seem. And another character that's very important to the story is Belfast. Now, Belfast is an AI who was on the ship which Lost was on when he was put into stasis. That he's from before the war, and Belfast just might be the key weapon to actually turning the tide of war and defeating the All-Mother. And that's the sort of, elevator pitch that I can give you about Humanity Lost.
O que você acha que faz Humanity Lost se destacar de outras histórias distópicas ou pós-apocalípticas?
Well, like most post-apocalypse series, movies, books, whatever, are usually set on Earth and everything's in ruins, whereas this post-apocalypse story takes place after humanity's extinction, like we're gone, and it's not like you're in this dust bowl, this desert, like in most post-apocalypse. You're in this extremely advanced spacefaring civilization setting where there's multiple alien civilizations who have their own lore and history and culture and backstory, and they all interact with each other differently. So it's not really a usual post-apocalypse story, but it is definitely a post-apocalypse story. So that kind of makes it a bit different. And obviously it has those biopunk, bio-horror elements with the post-human stuff and those vehicles that they ride that are made out of flesh and organs and living parts. So that kind of makes it a bit different.
Como o cenário de Humanity Lost reflete questões sociais, existem paralelos com o nosso mundo hoje?
Yeah, surprisingly. Considering how far out it all sounds in the distant future with alien races and all this kind of stuff, the events that lead up to the apocalypse will sound eerily familiar to a lot of people. It's almost uncannily so. Before, how I mentioned that humanity went to war with an alien alliance? Well, this alien alliance is sort of global government. And it sort of deals with that. It plays with that. I won't say too much here because it's just an introduction. But it sort of deals with this censorship and thought control element that you see in books like A Brave New World in 1984 and things like that. And it kind of deals with the advent of artificial intelligence and runaway technology, and that feeling of once the genie's out of the bowl, you can't put it back in, and this sort of uncontrollable explosion of technology that's just around the corner from us, and we all feel it, with AI being incorporated to all the programs that we use for our day-to-day lives with Microsoft and Photoshop and all these different things. I'm sure everyone has had some hands-on experience with AI, or if they go onto Google and they search for an image, you just bombarded AI imagery. We're kind of going for a revolution at the moment in artificial intelligence technology. Although it's not really AI, it's more of an if not else programming, but that's beside the point. What I'm trying to capture with Humanity Lost are some of these themes and dealing with them in a sort of, a reaction kind of way. So it's kind of relevant. It is relevant to what's happening currently with these sort of supranational structures that are being imposed in our day-to-day lives, and with these transnational government bodies, and also with AI. So there's two very relevant things to our day-to-day lives.
Quais desafios os personagens enfrentam neste mundo e como eles refletem a condição humana?
Well, it's like both very non-human and also very human at the same time. I mean, it deals mostly with aliens, so they're not very human. But the non-humanoid aliens in the story, although they don't have faces like us and they don't express their emotions in the same way, I try my best using my art skills to express them in unique ways, in a way that the reader can even empathize with something that isn't human. And also another interesting element of it is you as the reader, although you're experiencing everything through lost eyes for the first time, you experience everything fresh with him. You're also like looking from the alien perspective in on this runaway technological just freight train that's just like this blindfold and bombarding forwards at full speed, and you never sure like which new veil is going to pierce and open up these possibilities. And it's sort of like, it's almost like watching AI in the current day from our human perspective is like looking at the All-Mother from the alien's perspective in Humanity Lost. So it's sort of like that. So that's kind of human in a way. But obviously it follows the story of Lost, who is the last human, and we can all empathize with him and feel those feelings that he's going through. And it's really, it is a sad story, but it's not a depressing story. It's really a story about like triumph and overcoming impossible odds and heroism in the face of, an insurmountable task. And that is really the human spirit, the unapproachable human spirit. And I hope that's like, I don't know, this word's overused, but empowering for people, it's like, it's a triumphant story. Yeah. That's all right.
Você pode falar sobre o estilo visual e como ele complementa a história de Humanity Lost? O que você quer que os leitores sintam através da arte?
Well, I'm not really educated in art. I studied other things in college and further education. So I kind of took up art because I was quite, I wasn't enjoying my day job and I wanted to try something new. And I enjoyed doing artwork as a hobby. So I figured I'd just give this my best shot and see if I could create some kind of, career for myself in artwork. It was a long shot, but somehow it succeeded. But I'm self-taught, so I never studied like how to do it properly. I just kind of learned as I went, studying references and things like that. Learn how to draw shadows correctly and how to draw form. And you kind of see it in Humanity Lost in the very first few pages. My artwork isn't quite there because that's where I was when I began. And through the story, as the volume 1 continues through, you see me evolve as an artist as I learn my craft. And I think by the end of it, by issue 5, I think I've really got there with my art. I wasn't necessarily there in the beginning, but not to put people off, but that's something that I think will be good for people, especially for aspiring artists, because they'll see what an amateur to a professional process is like. And that is what Humanity Lost is. I was working on it for 5 years, so it's quite a long project, that first book, and there's a lot of change and growth in that time. But as for the visual style, it's just what I was capable of. Like every single page is me pushing the limit of what I'm capable of as an artist. And I think you'll see when you come to volume 2, which I'm almost finished with now, how much further I've come along in that since volume 1. Not that volume 1, like, people can't enjoy that. I still think it looks pretty good, but...
Por que você acredita que Humanity Lost é uma história que precisa ser contada agora?
I think probably for the same reasons that I was inspired to create it, because there was a drought in the market of this kind of storytelling, like with these themes, like this very unique niche of themes, which I hope will become less niche and there'll be more, inspired by previous works and my work to kind of add to this subgenre of comic books. But there really isn't much like it. There are a few, like there's another great book by Malachi Ward and Matt Sheehan called Ancestor that's quite similar. It has like themes of AI and these kind of dreamy things, but really there isn't much on the comic book market, so it's something that's still quite fresh, and I think I'm kind of adding to comic books that way, and and the subject matter is relevant as well, I think, and I tackle it in a unique way that I haven't really been seen like done before, and it's done through a unique lens of the post-apocalypse and post-humanity and non-humanoid aliens and fun adventure. So, yeah.
Quais são seus planos de longo prazo para Humanity Lost?
There's so much more I want to explore. After the trilogy of Humanity Lost, there's going to be 3 volumes in the main part of the story, but I'd like to go back, and I'd like to go forwards. But first, there's going to be a prequel that's set during the human conglomerate war, that pre-apocalypse event, and it's going to be a war story following a band of brothers who are in that conflict. I'm not going to say too much because I've got a lot planned, but I don't want to spoil it because things might change. But yeah, it's going to be a war story set during that event. Yeah.
Obrigado pelas respostas. Você tem alguma última mensagem para o público do canal?
Just peace and love, you know. I'll come to Brazil. I'll come and see you at some Comic-Con Expo. And for all the people who have read Humanity Lost, come say hello to me. I'll say hello to all of you. And enjoy it. And, it's my baby, and I've been working on it for a very long time.
Agora que sabemos os segredos por trás de Humanity Lost, o que resta para você, que nos acompanha, é entrar nesta jornada. A história está apenas começando e cabe a você ajudar a trazê-la à vida para o público brasileiro. Acesse o projeto que abrimos no Catarse. O link está aqui na tela e na descrição. Junte-se a nós ou fique perdido para sempre, assim como a humanidade.